Welcome back to Utility Sports. Montrezl Harrell is a Los Angeles Laker. Can you believe the news? This was the ultimate Laker hater during his time at the Clippers. He fueled the most of this rivalry. Him and Patrick Beverley really were chirping at the Lakers every single time that they played. I would have never guessed that this was coming, but he's getting a chance to play with LeBron. I understand from a basketball perspective why he would want to do this. I'm a little surprised he only signed for 2 years, $19 million with a player option. Sheldon, what's your instant reaction from this?
Yeah, you're looking at the players that were available out in free agency, and Montrezl Harrell was one of the top five in a lot of people's eyes in terms of what was really available in this weaker free agency class. And the Lakers get to use their full mid-level exception here on a player that is obviously the reigning sixth man of the league, and also now a player that's going to fit right in with their current roster. Harrell, like you said, this is a completely surprising move from his end. Obviously, looking at agent Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, that's got a lot of ties there with the Lakers. Obviously, he represents Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who we expect to finalize an extension back with the Lakers, and obviously represents both Anthony Davis and LeBron James as well. So I guess on that end, it's not as surprising, but you're looking at a player, like you had said, who was part of that big rivalry in the Battle of LA, and now he's switching sides in that rivalry, and I think that's something really to monitor. From a basketball standpoint, you're looking at Harrell as a guy who, not only will fit next to LeBron, but really fits well next to Dennis Schroeder, a guy who's going to be a pick and roll machine still there. And Schroeder's also a quality guard, just like Lou Williams, when it comes to operating the pick and roll and looking for his own shot, as well as finding the roller consistently. So I think this is actually a really good fit in Los Angeles. I don't necessarily see him as a closing lineup member next to Anthony Davis on a night-to-night basis, but he gives them a lot of flexibility during the regular season and then against specific matchups in the playoffs. And I think this is going to be something that really adds to that rivalry between the two of them. Obviously, the Clippers are going to have to start pulling out some more W's there to really make it a true rivalry. But these two teams aren't going to like each other. I think Patrick Beverley's, assuming he stays with the Clippers, is going to be not happy about this when it comes to actually playing the Lakers. I think he's going to be a guy who gets up into both LeBron, obviously, still, but also into Harrell. And I think there's going to be some heat between these two teams. And Harrell, it's just really surprising. And I honestly don't think he'll stick around with that second-year option. I'd be really surprised if he does. I thought he could have gotten, 15, 16 million out on the open market, like we've seen players like Marcus Morris do and a few others. So I was kind of surprised about the number coming in at the mid-level. But you have to look at it from the Lakers' perspective, but this is a wonderful signing for them.
Yeah, honestly, if they're able to get a guy like this for the mid-level exception, it's just outstanding. Obviously, you can add him to your starting lineup or your bench. You can kind of plug and play him wherever you please. Like you said, he might not be a part of that closing lineup. Taking a look at it from the Clippers' perspective, what are you losing? You're losing, your best bench scorer, arguably off of your bench. You still have Lou Williams, but you're not going to have that pick and roll guy with Lou Williams. So now you have to kind of channel it to the rest of your bench. What do you have? You have Mfiondu Kabengele. You have Daniel Turu now. You have Patrick Patterson, who are going to have to try to fill some of those minutes that Harrell logged. Harrell was a dog. You're never going to be able to fully replace that. However, from the Clippers' perspective, you had to stick with Marcus Morris. I understand that. You traded your first-round pick for him. I do like the idea of keeping Morris over Harrell. I just think he fits better with what the Clippers should be doing, especially during playoff time, playoff basketball. During the playoffs, they were negative 68 with Harrell on the floor, and plus 128 with Montrezl Harrell off the floor, which is really incredible plus-minus numbers. We normally don't buy into that very much, but just for having such a drastic change, defensively, he's not an anchor. Obviously, he's not a good defender. He's not a rim protector. He's a high-energy offensive guy, but on defense, sometimes he gets really swallowed up. So from the Clippers' perspective, I think defensively, whoever you pretty much replace him with is going to be better. But offensively, it's going to be hard to replace 18 points per game.
Yeah, looking at the Clippers, like you said here, I think that they, kind of brace themselves to lose Montrezl Harrell this offseason. I think that's why they were already so far in talks with Marcus Morris and were able to get that deal done quickly after Harrell did depart. But I think that they were shocked when it comes to him leaving for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think that they were kind of expecting him to lose him to maybe a team like Cleveland or Charlotte or Detroit, one of these teams that's not necessarily competing at a high level yet. But instead they lose him to the in-town rival and a team that just came off an NBA championship. So it's something I think really surprising for them. And honestly, looking at their current roster, this puts a lot of pressure on Ivica Zubac for them. Obviously, a player who uh, plays well with Kawhi. He's a good role option, got really good hands. And he's, still growing on the defensive end of the floor. But right now, behind him, Austin laid out some of those options, and you got more floor spacers and guys who can stretch it. But really looking physically, not a lot of those guys are going to be able to deal with Anthony Davis when it comes to a playoff series, possibly in the future between these two teams. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be really tough for the Clippers to kind of replace long term, especially, they added Luke Kennard, a guy who we really like. But they lost some size, and that's something that's really, really important to monitor in the West with such quality bigs like Jusuf Nurkic, obviously Nikola Jokic, who they struggled with last year, and of course Anthony Davis. Perhaps the best big man in the league right now. Him and Giannis go back and forth for that, basically, with their 6'11" frames. But that's going to be something to monitor this year, and I think it would be foolish to rule out the Clippers as contenders at this point. I think that they still, have a couple moves to make, whether that be through the trade market. Obviously, Patrick Beverley's a movable contract. Or, they could just run it back with what they got. They added Kennard. They've improved in their own ways, even with the loss of Harrell. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of see where they go from here.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Also leave a like and turn on the notification bell if you do love NBA content. We really appreciate the support, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.